Hi friend, in this video I'm sharing with you 4 bean recipes that are not only delicious but they will impress your family. Soup, we are going around the world from Italian bean soup to African rice and beans. These recipes are packed with flavor and protein, and whether you are a bean lover or you're just looking to incorporate more plant-based meals into your diet, these recipes will definitely come in handy. All right, let's get into it. The first recipe that we're going to be making is an African rice and beans. In this family, we love African rice and beans because it kind of cooks a lot like pilau, but not pilau with, especially with the prices of beef in this country. So I found this to be a really good alternative because it is plant-based and it's very easy on your pocket. The first thing that you're going to do is to chop up all your ingredients because this recipe really quickly. So chop up all your ingredients, wash your rice, get your beans ready. In this recipe I'm using canned beans, but you can use beans that you've boiled yourself in the pressure cooker. Any kind of beans will work in this recipe. They just have to be red beans. To fill this with cold water. I'm also going to be using ghee in this recipe. The original recipe states to use just oil, but I'm using ghee just to give it that extra flavor, and you can also use oil if that's what you prefer. The recipe also says to use garlic paste, but I never make just garlic paste because I rarely ever just use garlic. So this is garlic and ginger paste that I'd made previously, and that's what I'm going to be using in this recipe. You can copy me or you can stick to the original recipe. And by the way, the original recipe is linked in the description box below. I used a bit more rice in this recipe because I didn't think I only had 1 can of beans, and yet I wanted this recipe to be enough for dinner but also for lunch the following day. So I added just a bit more rice so that we could have that extra. I made this guacamole to go with the rice and beans because I thought it would be such a good combination, and I was right. This combo was really good. I've had this dania in my fridge for by this point it was up to 2 weeks, and that is just to show you how well Tupperware works. I don't wash my dania. I just straight from the market, I just come and put them in my Tupperware container, and whenever I need them, I just take a bit, I wash them.
Sure.
These are pinto beans, aka rose cocoa. Beans are actually a really good source of fiber and plant-based protein. So if you want to have a bit more dense nutrients in your food, beans are a wonderful way to go. And it's no wonder that beans are eaten all around the world in different cuisines. But one thing I'm not such a fan of when it comes to beans is that they're not flavor dense, and so you have to pile up the spices so that your food tastes really good. And maybe that's why beans are really good at carrying flavor, because they don't have much flavor on their own. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. I make videos on how to plan your meals, to plan your life, so that you're eating healthy meals every single day of the week. Share this video with someone who would enjoy it, and don't forget to give us a like. It helps us to grow this channel so that more people can be reached by this content. What are you guys doing? Okay. Don't let her walk to the stairs, okay? Hi friend, so to make our bean salsa, I have all my ingredients out. I have a lime here that we're going to use for the dressing. We have an onion, some pepper, a tomato, that is coriander or dhania. I have some beans here. These ones are, I think, pinto beans, aka rose cocoa. I've got some cumin right here, some oil. This is macadamia oil. I like it for salads. Salt, and a bowl where I'm going to mix everything. Then right here I am steaming some sweet corn that is going to go into our salsa. This bean salsa turned out to be one of my favorite bean recipes of all of them, mostly because I am not a fan of githeri. Traditionally, I'm not a fan of githeri, but this was so full of flavor. I had this for lunch, and I keep dreaming of it. I keep thinking I should make this again. It was so good. I'm using macadamia oil here, but you can use any kind of oil that you have. And I typically don't put spices in my salads, but this turned out so well that I think I'm going to be putting spices in all my salads going from here. Another idea that I got is that you can reduce the beans in this recipe and add another kind of bean, or you can add pasta. You can make it a rice and bean salad, and that I served, because it was on a cold day, I served it a bit warm-ish, and it turned out so well. I served this with some sweet potatoes that I'd fried in butter, and it was so delicious. And I think in my head this is the only way to eat it. It was so good. All you have to do is peel your sweet potatoes, add them to a pan together with some butter, and let them fry up until they have like a brown color. They then turn a bit crunchy, and in contrast to this salad, that was just the very best combination, because the sweetness, the crunch, the butteriness, it was all together. It was absolutely amazing. So for this Italian bean soup, we have some really nice, yummy flavors, and we're going to flavor this to the max. So let me show you what we have. First of all, we have some tomatoes that I am going to not blend, I'm going to chop up in the food processor just to make everything really easy. I boiled some beans last night, some tomato paste. I also defrosted beef stock together with some mincemeat, and I have all these herbs. So let me just show you what we have. Just a little bit. I have some garlic powder, dried thyme, dried basil, dried parsley, dried oregano, and bay leaf. If you have fresh of any of this, it would work even better. I have some onions here that I'm going to chop up. Let me put this to the side. Let's get going. This Italian bean soup was also one of my absolute favorites because it packs in the flavor. And a few points. The first thing is that you will be tempted to carify this like I was tempted, because when you see that the spice range is not that big, there aren't any warm spices to this soup. And that is intentional because it is an Italian soup. So resist the urge. I was here resisting the urge to not add any warm curry spices, because then that takes away from the very refreshing tomato and herb flavors that are typically Italian style. Another thing to note is that you want to flavor and salt this in stages. So you add some salt at the beginning and then you keep adding salt until the very end. And you don't want to add all your salt at the beginning or all of it at the end. You want to add it in stages so that the flavors kind of develop as you go. The other thing you need to take note of is this meat needs to brown in such a way that you need to be a little nervous so that as that meat is browning at the bottom, it's creating so much flavor. If you're not getting nervous that your meat is about to burn, okay, you're not doing it right. You need to take it just a bit further until it's quite brown, and it's a fine line between browning and burning. So keep an eye on the meat and make sure it is properly browned, but not, and you want it to stick to the bottom. And when it sticks to the bottom, that's when you get that fond and that very nice flavor that you can lift with this tomato, the tomato goodness. The other thing you need to keep in mind is that you need to cook these tomatoes to an edge of their life. And that's the reason why I decided to chop them up. You can use a blender, by the way. You can blend your tomatoes, but you want to cook them down, because tomatoes that are not cooked all the way down have raw tomatoes don't have that much flavor. So the more you cook them, the more their sweetness and tanginess starts to come out, and that's the main flavor in this soup. And then you don't want to be shy with those herbs. Put those herbs. The other thing is that make sure you use beef stock, and if you don't have beef stock, that's okay, just add an extra beef cube.